Hello everyone, what's up? Prince of Dean here with a review of Star Wars Tales of the Empire, the latest series of shorts to land on Disney Plus, showcasing two different stories in six separate shorts about two different characters. So a couple years ago, we got Tales of the Jedi, which focused on Ahsoka Tano across, her early years up until the Clone Wars, and we also got a look into the fall of Count Dooku and how he became a Sith, which was something that I had personally been wanting for a while, and then to get it was really awesome finally. And so then here we have kind of a similar thing where it's there's more stuff that I had been wanting for a while with some questions being answered. And maybe more questions, still left open. So this series of shorts is no longer Tales of the Jedi. This is now Tales of the Empire, showcasing two characters that have previously been known to be villainous characters. And those are, of course, Morgan Elsbeth from The Mandalorian and Ahsoka, and Bariss Offee from The Clone Wars, and technically the live-action movie, since she was in the background of Attack of the Clones. But we're not really going to count that because she was just one of those background characters that didn't have any speaking lines. She's really fleshed out more in the Clone Wars. So a very interesting series of shorts here. It's interesting. I've been seeing some negative responses to these, and I don't understand why. I mean, I think because I remember seeing some negative responses to Tales of the Jedi as well. And I think, these are shorts. I kind of understand people being a little bit more upset about the brevity of Tales of the Jedi because we didn't really know what to expect. Like, we were told these were shorts, but I'm like, how short are they? They're around 15 minutes ish in length, little over, a little under, depending on subject matter. So I kind of understand with some people taking issue with the shortness of Tales of the Jedi, just because at the time we didn't know what to expect. But this time around, I mean, knowing what to expect, I think I think what we got was really good. Morgan Elsbeth as a character, I've definitely wanted to know more about because I thought that she as a character was someone especially for her having such a large role in Ahsoka, she was a character that I was just really like, okay, I don't really understand why she's here. Oh, she has some sort of ties to the Night Sisters. Wait, she is a Night Sister? Wait, she's from Dathomir? This is all coming very unexpectedly and seemingly out of left field. How does any of that make sense? I'm not quite following here. And then, and now she's dead. Okay. So, and so I think I maybe even said in my review for Ahsoka, and if I didn't, then I was definitely thinking it and just didn't articulate it during my review, that it's like, we'll probably learn more about her somewhere else. And here's where we learn more about her. So, like Marin from the Jedi video game series, she is one of the last few survivors of the Night Sister clans on Dathomir after General Grievous's assault during the Clone Wars, and that we see firsthand in Massacre in season 4, which was a very dark episode. It's like that was an episode where I remember watching it and it ending, and it goes very quickly. It goes very, very quickly. Like, because I remember watching that on Cartoon Network for the first time, and the commercial breaks were like they didn't because a lot of times the show would pace themselves very well. Clone Wars would, and they would find good places for the commercial breaks. Massacre, there were no good places for commercial breaks. They just had to put them in. And I did a rewatch recently on Disney Plus in anticipation for this. And yeah, it's a very, very fast episode. It's like, oh, that's a very quick 22 minutes. You would almost be forgiven for thinking it was shorter, but no, it goes by at a fast clip. And it's a very dark episode. There's lots of people dying on screen. There's zombies. Grievous gets lots of kills in, and I think that they carried that over to this very, very well, because we had Grievous return in this episode in the first one, and he's rocking his updated design that they never really got to properly use in Clone Wars after the cancellation, and then they kind of squeezed him in there in season 7 and the beginning of the Bad Batch. Just like, we want to use this model, dang it! It's pretty obvious they wanted to use it, and so they worked him in here. And this is definitely the return to General Grievous is scary, and that's really awesome. I'm glad that we got a return to that, because kind of I enjoy Grievous in the Clone Wars. I think he's utilized well in the Clone Wars, but if I do have one complaint about his utilization in the Clone Wars, is that they so often pit him against Obi-Wan to further that rivalry. And because of that, Obi-Wan has plot armor. General Grievous has plot armor. So while their fights are cool, there's not really much stakes to them, because both of them survive up until Revenge of the Sith, so they can have their final duel. Or Grievous inevitably loses. And then a bunch of other characters he fights are kind of have plot armor as well, because in season 5 he's chasing after the younglings. They're not going to kill kids. I know Star Wars has a tendency to go dark sometimes, and yes, there's Revenge of the Sith. Well, what about Master Skywalker? There are too many of them. What are we going to do? Yeah, but that was off screen, so I don't necessarily count it. So it's like, and especially with that, what that arc in Clone Wars was about these kids and stuff. They weren't going to kill one of those kids. They weren't going to kill Ahsoka in that way. So all of those characters had plot armor. I suppose it was possible he may have. But he could have killed Hondo there. I suppose that was something that was on the table, but that ended up not happening. So he just keeps. So in the Clone Wars, he just kept facing off against characters with plot armor. Basically, he got a couple good kills in early on in season 1, like Ganact, which is this one little 2-episode side character. So he got to kill off Nadar Veb in Lair of Grievous. So he got a couple kills in early on in the show, but these were all, guest star characters. They weren't the mains, and it's expensive to have guest star characters in there because you got to make new character models and stuff. So I kind of understand why, later on in the show, they just kept having him face off against Obi-Wan and stuff, and all these characters with plot armor. So really, I think the most notable kill Grievous gets in all of Clone Wars is maybe Captain Tarpals from the Phantom Menace. He kills him in season 4. And that's maybe the most, in terms of Clone Wars, that's maybe the most influential, the biggest kill he gets. Because Captain Tarpals, I mean, at that point in the Clone Wars, he was a general of the Gungan army after the Battle of Naboo, 10 years prior and stuff. So that was kind of a big deal. It's like, yeah, he's got Jedi under his belt and everything, and all the trophies he's taken. But in terms of on screen, what we see, Nadar, I could see the argument for that, but he was a newly knighted Jedi, was very inexperienced, so of course Grievous got one over on him. But Tarpals was a experienced battlefield general, so that's it's like he's a Gungan, and people don't like the Gungans, but it's like that's got to count for something that he was a general, and successfully led this ground battle against the Trade Federation 10 years prior during the Battle of Naboo. So all that being said, it was really cool to see General Grievous here really get to shine, and he's darn scary. I like that they gave him his cape, even though we never see him with the cape earlier in the actual episode. After he leaves his little meeting with Dooku on Sereno, he takes it off once the battle starts, and I think that I think that was a thing where it's like they couldn't manage to animate him with the cape and have him fight. I think there was something to do with that, so that's why he always doesn't. That's why he never has it on, and he always takes it off because they couldn't figure out that animation. So they finally managed to figure it out, and it looks really good. So I can accept the little continuity error of him having his cape versus not having his cape because it looks really cool. And also, it's like maybe this is after. The main clan is taken out, and now they're doing cleanup, and so then he puts on his cape again. So it's like that's an easy hand waveable thing. So him taking on the elder Elsbeth, Morgan's mother. I thought that was a really cool fight, especially with her night sister scythes or whatever those things are. And they've got the dark magics and stuff on them. But they're clearly made of a strong material, but not strong enough to withhold up against a lightsaber for very long. And even then, it's like, Grievous, he's crafty, he's tricky. It's like, he's fighting with two arms. She does, and it's like us as the audience were like, he's got four arms, but Morgan's mother doesn't know that, and oops, that got her killed. It's like he can split his arms. So yeah, that was a cool fight. The first episode is good. I especially like how haunting Grievous is, with the laugh, and you can hear his laugh echoing. It's very scary. It's probably the scariest Grievous has ever been in canon, really. So really good job there. The rest of the episode's fine. That one elder of the Mountain Clan or whatever says, like, your path is clear and it's unfortunate. I feel sorry for you. And, the teenaged Morgan is just kind of whatever. Then the next time we see her in the next episode, I find this an interesting retcon where she's the person that came up with the TIE Defender. At least it appears that way. And then Thrawn sees what use it could be and kind of adopts the project and is like, all right, I'm going to make this a reality for you. I find that really interesting. Thrawn, of course, being in it, really cool. I think the biggest surprise out of all these episodes was probably Rook showing up, and Captain Pellaeon, really. Captain Pellaeon and Rook both showing up, and I have to say it that way. It's not Rook, it's Rook. It's like those two showing up, it's like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. And I was really expecting Warwick Davis to be back, but no, he remains mute. He just grunts and stuff. But yeah, Lars Mikkelsen killing it as always as here Admiral Thrawn and not Grand Admiral. So that was really cool. As the theme for him playing in the background as he's talking to Morgan and kind of winning her over to join. It's why do you want to join the Empire and blah blah blah. It's like that, just his theme in the background, that organ. It's like, there's so many people that I see complain about Thrawn and how he's somehow butchered from the expanded universe. I've read the Thrawn books from the expanded universe. I think he's being portrayed pretty faithfully here. And then the atmosphere that they build for him whenever he's on screen is always just great. So, and then last episode, very interesting, is that this is the first time we're seeing post-original trilogy content in this animation style, which I thought was really interesting. Because during the trailer, we saw the New Republic, Alderaan, Tantive 4 Rebel Soldier helmets. And so I was kind of wondering, it's like, okay, so is this New Republic? Because the uniforms looked New Republic out of The Mandalorian. But at the same time, like, but then the ship they were using was the diplomatic ship that they use at the end of The Phantom Menace, but it's painted blue instead of red. So I was kind of curious about that, where it's like, well, maybe this is actually during the Republic or during the Imperial era or something. But no, so I was questioning that. But no, this is actually during the days of the New Republic. So it's the first time we've gotten, post original trilogy content in this art style, which I think is cool. I hope we get more of it. And so yeah, it just further solidifies Morgan's rule of Corvus, and seeing how the trees got burned down and how the planet kind of became the way it is when we see it in The Mandalorian. And then surprise cameo number 2 for the Morgan Elsbeth episodes is we get a very brief vocal cameo from Bo-Katan Kryze. So it's like, that's how she knows the planet. That's how she knows to send Ahsoka there to help out, that something's going on. So that was all really cool. I liked that. And so overall, yeah, I thought the Morgan Elsbeth stuff was good. I liked seeing more insight into her character. If anything, I'm just left wanting more, and that's the same case with the batch of next 3 episodes. It just leaves me wanting more of these. It's like, I appreciate that we're getting these shorts, and they're all beautifully animated. Like the dirt in the first episode when she's pounding her fist into the dirt. Oh my gosh, that's one of the most gorgeous things of animation I have ever seen across anything. It's like, that is such good looking dirt, which is a funny thing to say, but it's like I wonder how long they spent on the dirt alone. So yeah, really gorgeous animation. I appreciated these episodes. Hopefully we can get more Morgan Elsbeth, because now I'm kind of like, okay, tell me more about this character, even though we've seen, her end, but it's Star Wars. We jump around the timeline all the time. So, moving on to, I think what everyone was really looking forward to was the Bariss Offee stuff and seeing where she ended up after the Clone Wars. Because I remember all during Rebels, after Ahsoka showed up, when that show was airing, everyone, and the Seventh Sister was there, everyone was like, is it Bariss? Is it Bariss? Is it Bariss? And Dave Filoni had to say, no, it's not Bariss. I even sort of kind of questioned why they even went with the same species as Bariss, the Mirrolans. I even questioned why they did that, because it's like, you had to know people were going to just assume it was Bariss, and you're going to have to tell them it wasn't. It's like you could have made her anything else. It's like she could have been human for all it really mattered. It's like, I don't know if her having green skin really improves the design that much. Make her skin, tan or brown or white or whatever, or what have you. It's like, the green skin does not. It's the whole the silhouette works with or without the green alien skin. So anyway, so just was finally getting to see what became of Bariss Offee. Unintentional rhyme there. was cool, and I certainly like these episodes more than the Morgan Elsbeth ones. But even then, I really liked the Morgan Elsbeth ones. But these were definitely the more interesting ones, especially since we have the fourth sister here, who was a character that I actually forgot existed, because she's in Kenobi, the Kenobi show, for all of about maybe 5 minutes. She shows up, stands in the background, looks interesting, doesn't really do much. I don't even think she really gets a fight scene. I don't think. She's really just kind of there, and she bickers with Reva and the fifth brother a bit about who's going to take over now that the Grand Inquisitor is dead, even though he's not dead. That whole thing, I'm still just very questioning about. It's funny, there was a thing that came out recently about how Pablo Hidalgo says that one of the things that George Lucas actually has liked in recent years about Star Wars has been the Kenobi show. And I think that's very interesting. And yeah, as a whole, Kenobi is not bad, but there's just one or two little small things about it where I'm like, if you remove or change this slightly, I enjoy it way more. There is just a thing of where it just seems like there's one or two things about that show where it's like, that was a little sloppy. You didn't need to do this. And I'm wondering if that was, an impact of COVID or what have you. One of those being the repeat of the Vader mask getting destroyed. And then the other one being, the fake out with the Grand Inquisitor, quote unquote, dying. That just seems really, they should have just ADR'd that scene completely. And because that would have, it's like, yes, the Grand Inquisitor is still alive, but he's in Bacta. And so then that would have put an even more pressing clock, I think, on it for Reva, for the audience, because it's like, oh shoot, well he's gonna recover. We know he's gonna recover. And then, there's gonna be an issue. So that's gonna make her even more desperate to, here I go reviewing Kenobi when I'm supposed to be talking about Bariss Offee. That's just going to make her even more desperate to try to capture Kenobi. And desperation leads to carelessness and blah, blah, blah. So yeah, it's small. It's like, that would have been such a big improvement. And then we wouldn't have had weeks of, did they just destroy canon? What? And that was stupid. So it's like, if they just changed a couple small things like that, I'd like Kenobi way more than I do, which it's fine. It's totally fine. I don't love it. I don't hate it. It just kind of is for me. So anyway, moving on to what I'm actually supposed to be talking about, with Bariss Offee here. So yeah, fourth sister comes in. Interesting to include her. I want to see more from this character now for two reasons. One, because I think they did a good enough job kind of fleshing her out here. And it's becoming a trend, but I am kind of interested to see them continue it, where it seems like they've got a bunch of Inquisitors that are now jumping ship and not wanting to sign up and really accept what the Empire's selling, which is maybe one of the reasons why the Inquisitorius eventually goes away, because they realize that, these aren't, they're not really as evil as we thought they were. Some of them definitely are. The fifth brother, seventh sister, Grand Inquisitor, yes, totally. Ninth sister, or whatever she is from the Fallen Order games, definitely, yes. But Riva, Bariss, now the fourth sister, yeah, there's definitely some cases of maybe there's some cracks in the foundation here. So I think that could be an interesting thread for them to pull at if they wanted to go in that direction and really show what happened to the Inquisitors. Having the Grand Inquisitor back and him being voiced by Jason Isaacs, that was another thing that I didn't quite like about Kenobi. It's like, why is this not Jason Isaacs? I understand if you didn't want to put on the makeup, but why didn't you have him dub the part? It's like, find a stunt person that and put him in, because I thought the makeup was fine for a live action interpretation. It was just the voice. The voice was just all wrong for me. It's because that voice is so, I think, iconic for that character and recognizable. So to have Jason Isaacs back as the Grand Inquisitor was so great in this episode. It's like, oh, this is so great. I love this. Anyway, the other reason I went to see more of the fourth sister is because she was talking, and I was thinking to myself, I know this voice. Where do I know this voice from? This really annoys me that I cannot pinpoint who this person is. But they're talking about Jedi and Sith and lightsabers and all this stuff. And so the Star Wars part of my brain is overpowering the I should be able to recognize this voice part of my brain. And the Star Wars filter was drowning everything else out. So I had to go to IMDb. I can't remember her name off the top of my head, but she's the same actress that plays Kate Laswell in the new Modern Warfare games. And I love, at least the first two. Got problems with the third one, but I have videos on that on my channel about those. You can go watch those after you're done here if you want to. But I do really like that character, Kate Laswell. I think she's portrayed very well in those games. And so to have her be in Star Wars and her having been in Star Wars and not having really realized it up until now, I'm like, oh shoot, because it's the same person. It's the same actress that played her in Kenobi. And she said she was thrilled to get the call back to, be back in Star Wars and do this role, but this time it's a voice role. So it's like, okay, I'm down for this. Let's see more of this character. It's like, let's maybe even see her as a Jedi. What was she like as a Jedi? And stuff. So yeah, Fortress Inquisitorius, early days, the initiation session, probably it's pretty predictable. That's kind of what you'd expect from, the Inquisitors is like, oh, sorry, there's only room in our ranks for one, so you got to fight each other. The other guy put up a good fight, but yeah, it's I mean, obviously we know Bariss is going to win in that fight. I did like the big battle royale, don't touch the storm because it's coming in for you. It's a ray shield. But Bariss having known how to do the fourth shot, I thought that was a really good comeback or callback, rather, where it's like it looks like the guy's got the upper hand just because he has a lightsaber, but then wait. She knows how to force choke because you've seen her do it before, and snap goes your neck, down to the pit you go. I thought that was a really nice touch. And then her, her Inquisitor costume looks pretty dope, especially with that helmet. And I think this is maybe another area where some people are probably upset, is that Vader comes in, he sits down, and that's all he does. That's kind of really what I was expecting out of a Vader appearance. Because if he does any more than that, he's going to take away, because it's Darth Vader. It's like Darth Vader shows up, he's going to start to distract from what your main focus is. So you have to use him sparingly unless you want him to kind of be the main focus, which is why I think he was used well in Rebels. Like they didn't overuse him. They used him just enough. And then and so for him to show up here at the end and kind of accept what is, I guess, the first batch of Inquisitors, is it's cool. It was done well, but I know there's a bunch of people out there that probably wanted way more. And yeah, it's like, how is he reacting to the fact that Bariss Offee is here in front of him? That is something that could definitely be explored, but that wasn't necessarily what these episodes were about, I don't think. I think those could be explored elsewhere. So then, next episode, we actually see an Inquisitor hunt and how brutal they can be. Because, boy, the fourth sister just, like, murders an entire town. And it's like the tracking shot of hearing the screams and kind of the lightsaber being visible through a window and then disappearing and more screams, and then the lightsaber cutting through a wall and then disappearing, as you know, she just pins someone to the wall with the lightsaber, and she eventually leaves. It's like, oh my gosh, that was brutal. And it's one of those things of show don't tell, and even then you don't necessarily always have to show, you can just imply, and it's like Jaws. Actually, the less you see the shark, the scarier it is. Let your imagination fill in the gaps. So I think they did that really, really well. That was really cool. And then of course they find the Jedi. I was really kind of expecting that Jedi to show up because they didn't die. I don't think. Because Bariss said, "I'm not going to leave you," and then yeah. So it's like, so who knows what became of that Jedi? Uncertain. I really expected the Jedi to show up in the next episode, but maybe they'll pop up somewhere else. I don't know. Who knows? But then, so yeah, last episode we have Barriss working as a healer, which I know a bunch of fans of the expanded universe were probably happy to see, because that was kind of her primary role of that was her character in the original EU, is that she was a healer. There's a great book cover. At least I think it's a book cover. I can't remember what the name of it is. It's maybe Shatterpoint or something like that. I can't remember exactly. But it's her with a clone trooper draped across her lap, and she's clearly using the Force to heal him. Really, really cool image there. And so she's been, hiding out on this planet and healing people. So that's a cool turn for her, because, she had this brief flirtation with darkness, with the dark side. She kind of fell to it a little bit, because it's like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Bombing the Jedi Temple because you didn't agree with them was wrong. I don't know how she justified that self to her. I still want more of Bariss to see her come to terms with that. It's like, why did I decide to bomb the Jedi Temple and then blame it on Ahsoka? It's like, I mean, because there's still a whole, I still want to, it was really cool to see Bariss and to have more of what happened to her and stuff. But there's still so much juicy stuff. You could have an entire, 6-episode miniseries, and by episode I mean 22 minutes or longer episode miniseries, focusing on Bariss throughout her life. And then she says, when she's getting the family out of there, she says, you're going to find an old friend of mine. She'll know what to do. Is that Ahsoka? Is that who she's referring to when she said she? I mean, she could be anyone. There's a lot of she's out there, but of course. So it's like, does she find Ahsoka again? Do they reconcile? Who knows? There's still a lot of questions. And then also, is Bariss dead? No clue. It kind of looks like she dies a little bit, but at the same time, she's a healer, so she could have just put herself in a meditative Force trance. And so they kind of leave it open-ended. So I wonder if this is going to be a thing of they're going to wait and see how the response to this is, and see if they do more on Bariss. Because Ahsoka, there's no test bed for, is an audience interested in an Ahsoka TV show? It's like, well, duh. First of all, she already had before the TV show named after her, she already had a TV show. It's called The Clone Wars. Then she got her own TV show named after her. So, and then with Dooku, it's like, yeah, we could definitely see some more stuff on Dooku, but I don't think there was ever really the potential for a Dooku series or whatever. Morgan Elsbeth, again, I'd love to see more stuff on her, but I don't think she's strong enough a character to carry her own series. She's someone that needs to be in other things like The Mandalorian or Ahsoka. But Bariss, I think they could definitely do like a show called The Path, and it's Bariss, the Fourth Sister, and Quinlan Vos running around the galaxy trying to save people from the Empire. former Jedi and Jedi affiliated people and stuff. As is insinuated in Kenobi. That was one of the things I really liked about Kenobi. It's like, okay, that's an interesting idea. I hope we explore that someday. So there, and then Ahsoka could show up and stuff. So yeah, lots of interesting opportunities. I would definitely watch more stuff with Bariss in it because I want to see more from her and kind of delve into that character more, especially after everything that's gone down with her in canon. So yeah, no, I think these were good. This was a good 6 episodes, 6 shorts, I should say. And I'm interested to see what they do next, because first it was Tales of the Jedi, now it's Tales of the Empire. How about Tales of the Bounty Hunters, where we finally get that Cad Bane, young Boba Fett standoff? That would be awesome. Tales of the Clones, maybe see Delta Squad in action finally. Because it's like, well, we don't need Tales of the Clones because we have Clone Wars and Bad Batch. It's like, yeah, but there's other things you could explore. So and then Tales of the Resistance, Tales of the First Order. I mean, it's like this is one of those things, like they could go anywhere with these, and I would watch them. It's like Tales of the Dark Side. It's like because Morgan Elsbeth, Night Sister, there's some Force use there, and then it's like they were Force users, but these were not the Sith. These were not the darkest of dark side Force users. So they could, and this was really looking at their connections to the Empire in general. So they could totally get away with doing another one of these and call it, Tales of the Dark Side or something like that. So yeah, I think there's a lot of different options for them to work with this series. So, and so yeah, I think that's pretty much it for this review. So thank you for watching. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, all that great stuff. Remember to follow me on Twitter and Instagram. Those links are in the description below. And I will see you guys for the Acolyte in June. Next Star Wars review. That's gonna be good. Hopefully, it looks good to me. High Republic, Jedi with lightsabers, stuff like that. So I'm hoping it's gonna be good. So I'll see you guys for that. So thank you for watching, and goodbye.